I want to tell you something that happened 3 months ago, and I think it's going to stick with you. A college recruiter, 15 years of experience. She called me and said, "Something's wrong. We're not getting applications for entry-level engineering roles anymore. Not because the jobs weren't posted, not because kids stopped wanting to work in tech. They just decided those jobs weren't worth doing anymore because the AI could do it. And learning alongside a tool that's faster than you, what's the point? 15 years of hiring. Never seen it before. That's not a prediction. That already happened. And it's one of 100 things just like it that are happening right now, quietly, without any announcement. And once you understand the pattern, you're going to see it everywhere." Let me give you two more. A freelance designer, 8 years building a portfolio, real clients, real work, real reputation. She's still getting hired, but not for 40 hours anymore, maybe 10. Same project, same scope, same client. But the client now uses AI to generate the initial mock-ups, and she just refines them. 75% less revenue, not because she got worse, because the market decided she's worth a quarter of what it decided last year. Then there's this one. A Fortune 500 company hired a prompt engineer, someone who had never written a single line of code, for $120,000. And that one person did the work of 3 mid-level developers who were each making somewhere around $280,000. One person, a fraction of the cost, same output, maybe better. These aren't edge cases, they're not anomalies. These are normal hiring decisions that are becoming more normal every month. And here's the part that messes with the standard narrative. Every time technology has disrupted work before, the car, electricity, the internet, new jobs eventually appeared. More jobs than were lost. So the comforting story is, don't panic. History rhymes. We'll adapt. That story isn't wrong, it's just missing something important. Because the part that matters isn't the destination, it's the speed of the journey, and that's where everything breaks. When the automobile replaced the horse-drawn carriage, that transition took about 30 years. Whole generations had time to shift. Kids who grew up with horses retired into a world of cars, but they had careers in between. Schools adjusted, labor markets rebalanced, slow enough that the pain was distributed across time instead of dumped on one generation all at once. The internet disruption, about 15 years. Still painful for some people, but 15 years gives you room to move. AI went from barely functional to better than average human at most knowledge tasks in about 18 months. Not 30 years, not 15, 18 months. And it's not slowing down, it's accelerating. Here's what that actually means. When disruption takes decades, institutions absorb it. A person whose job disappeared in 1920 had until 1950 to figure out what's next. That's a long runway. Systems, schools, governments, companies had time to react. But when disruption moves in quarters, when the thing that used to take a team of 3 now takes one person and a laptop, the adaptation mechanisms that we built for slow change, they just don't work at this speed. A student graduating this year doesn't have 30 years to pivot. They have right now, and companies aren't waiting. If you can do the same work faster with AI, you have every incentive to cut headcount. Your competitors are doing it. The company that moves fastest wins. So every company is running the same calculation at the same time, and the labor market is adjusting at the speed of adoption, which is months, not decades. Major tech companies have been laying off, not because they performed poorly, but because they can do more with 30% fewer people, and productivity didn't drop. In some cases, it went up. That's the part that doesn't fit the old model. Disruption used to mean destruction followed by recovery. What we're looking at now might be disruption without the recovery window we're used to. This is what economic shock looks like when it's concentrated instead of distributed, when the wave hits all at once instead of over a generation. And the wildest part? We're still early. We haven't even hit the real skill replacement phase yet. This, right now, is just the warm-up, which means what's coming is going to be a lot harder to ignore. So what actually happens when knowledge work gets disrupted at this speed? Because it's not just some jobs change, it cascades. First, salary compression. When a $280,000 job becomes a $120,000 job because one person with a tool can do it instead of three, that's not just a problem for those three people. That's a floor dropping for an entire category of workers. Everyone in that tier has to accept lower compensation because the tool made them less scarce. Within 2 years, we could see 20 to 30% compression across entire sectors of knowledge work. Not because people got worse at their jobs, because output per dollar went up and the market is pricing that in. Second, the education system breaks. Universities are already seeing enrollment drop. And here's the brutal math students are doing. If a 4-year computer science degree costs you $200,000 in tuition and opportunity cost, but you can learn more from an AI in 4 months for free, what's the ROI? For the 40% of students studying subjects that are skill-based and tool-replaceable, the math just stopped making sense. The entire go to college, get a degree, get a stable job ladder is wobbling. Not for everyone, but for enough people that the institutions built on that assumption are going to feel it. Third, inequality gets worse before it gets better. The people who own and control AI tools get rich fast. The people whose skills just got commoditized get hit hard. And between those two things, there's a lag, sometimes years, that represents real human suffering. Families losing income, savings disappearing, careers that took a decade to build, gone in a product cycle. Fourth, geography amplifies everything. Tech hubs, the cities where people can adapt fastest, where the new roles are being created, keep thriving. Everywhere else, watching their most ambitious young people leave, not because those cities are worse, because the economic gravity is stronger somewhere else now, and once that spiral starts, it's hard to stop. But here's what makes all of this different from every disruption before it. The car disrupted transportation, electricity disrupted manufacturing, the internet disrupted retail and media. All of those were specific sectors. You could be a banker and not be touched, a teacher, a doctor. Those roles were insulated. You could watch entire industries get demolished and still feel reasonably safe because your work was different. This disruption is hitting knowledge work, which is the ladder. It's the path out of poverty. It's where smart kids from nowhere go to build a life. And that path is getting steeper and shorter and more crowded, while simultaneously becoming less valuable once you reach the top. That's a different problem, and it's going to show up in ways nobody is fully prepared for. So who's supposed to fix this? Schools move on decade-long curriculum cycles. By the time a computer science department finishes updating its program, the technology has lapped them twice. They're teaching tools that are already obsolete. Companies move on quarterly earnings. Their entire incentive structure is designed for 1 year out, maybe 3. Nobody in a board meeting is planning for the 30-year labor market implications of what they're deploying. They're planning for Q4. Governments move on election cycles, 4 years. And right now, most of them are still in the phase of debating whether AI is good or bad, while the labor market is repricing in real time, while people are making irreversible decisions about their education and careers, while the ground is shifting underneath an entire generation. Nobody's incentive structure is aligned with moving fast enough, and that's the real problem, not the technology. The gap between the speed of the technology and the speed of everything built to manage its consequences. When that gap was small, when technology disrupted over decades, institutions could keep up, imperfectly but enough. The gap was a manageable lag. Now the gap is a chasm. Students graduating right now are walking into a labor market that looks completely different from the one their professors spent their careers training them for. Some of them will adapt brilliantly. They'll figure it out. But most won't. Not because they're not smart or capable, but because the system that was supposed to prepare them was designed for a world that doesn't quite exist anymore. We have vague ideas about retraining. We have think pieces about the future of work. We have TED Talks about being adaptable in a changing landscape. What we don't have is a plan, not a real one, not with funding, execution, or a timeline. The companies have a plan: cut costs, move fast, win. The workers caught in the middle have to figure it out on their own, and the people who get hit hardest are the ones with the fewest resources to absorb the shock. Previous transitions cost us pain distributed across generations. This one is going to cost us something concentrated: billions in lost human potential, derailed careers, education investments that didn't pay off. Not because anyone chose that outcome, but because the thing that changed was too fast, and the things built to protect people were too slow. I'll be honest with you, I don't know how this ends. I think in 20 years there are probably more jobs than there are today, new categories we can't even name yet. That part of the historical pattern is probably still true, but between now and then, that transition is going to be brutal for a lot of people, and the people who pay the highest price will be the ones who had the fewest options to begin with. That's not a technology problem, that's a timing problem. And timing problems don't get solved by the market. They get solved, or made worse, by whether the institutions around us can move fast enough to catch people before they fall. Right now, they're not moving fast enough. You're seeing it already. A college that quietly stopped hiring, a manager who cut a role and didn't backfill it, a freelancer whose rate dropped by half. One at a time, those things look like individual decisions, random, unrelated, but they're not. Add them together and you get a society that's in the middle of something it doesn't fully understand yet. A transition it wasn't built to handle at this speed. That's what this channel is about. Not the hype, not the headlines, the second-order effects, the things that are already reshaping everything, one quiet decision at a time. If that's the kind of thing you want to actually understand, hit subscribe, because we're just getting started.